A faint glow illuminated the dark forest, its source unclear but undeniably strange. The atmosphere was suffused with a sense of unease, and somewhere deep within, a young boy stumbled through the underbrush, his chest tight and his mind clouded. Who was he? And why was everything so unfamiliar, yet painfully nostalgic? The story begins with the boy jolting awake in a dilapidated hut. His heart pounded as fragmented memories danced through his mind. Two lives, two worlds. How could they exist within him simultaneously? As he looked at his hands, smaller and weaker than he remembered, he realized something unnerving. This wasn't his body, or rather, it wasn't just his. His name was Haruto, or perhaps it was Ryo. Confusion set in as two distinct identities clashed within him. Haruto, a college student from a modern world, and Ryo, an orphan surviving in the slums of an unfamiliar city. How could two souls share one existence? And more importantly, why was he here now, trapped in this unfamiliar reality? As Ryo, he quickly remembered the brutal hardships of his new life. The slums were cruel, ruled by the law of survival. The weak were preyed upon, and kindness was a luxury no one could afford. Yet, there was something different about him now. The memories of Haruto brought not just knowledge, but a sense of resolve, and with it, an extraordinary power he couldn't explain. One evening, as he wandered the slums, his sharp instincts kicked in. A faint scream echoed from the alleyway ahead. Without thinking, he dashed toward the source, finding a young girl surrounded by thugs. Though his body trembled with fear, an inexplicable surge of energy coursed through him. Was it adrenaline, or was it something more? In a flash, the world seemed to slow. His hand moved instinctively, and an intense burst of energy erupted from within him. The thugs were thrown back, stunned and disoriented. The girl looked up at him with wide, grateful eyes, but Ryo could hardly comprehend what had just happened. This newfound strength wasn't natural. It was almost as though Haruto's memories had awakened a dormant force within him. But why now? What triggered it? And what did it mean for his future? Questions swirled in his mind as he walked away, leaving the girl safely behind. The next day, Ryo's life took another dramatic turn. While wandering the city outskirts, he stumbled upon a grand carriage, its opulence a stark contrast to the slums. The sight of it filled him with unease, and his instincts urged him to keep his distance. Yet, fate seemed to have other plans. The carriage was suddenly ambushed, and chaos erupted. Without a second thought, Ryo leapt into action, his newfound abilities guiding him like second nature. He fought off the attackers, his movements swift and precise, even though he couldn't explain how he'd mastered such skills. When the dust settled, he found himself face to face with a noble family, one whose gratitude came with an unexpected opportunity. The nobles, impressed by his courage, offered Ryo a chance to leave the slums behind. They invited him to join an esteemed academy where he could refine his abilities and build a better life. It was an opportunity he couldn't refuse, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that his acceptance would lead to even greater challenges. As he prepared to leave his old life behind, Ryo felt a mix of emotions. Was this his chance to finally find purpose, or was he simply stepping into a new kind of battlefield? The memories of Haruto weighed heavily on him, and he couldn't ignore the lingering question. Why had he been given this second chance, and at what cost? As Ryo adjusted to his new life, the question of identity became more pressing. Was he Haruto, a man reborn with a second chance? Or Ryo, a boy shaped by hardship and pain? Could he ever reconcile the two halves of himself, or would they forever remain at odds? The academy was a world unlike any Ryo had ever known. It was a place of privilege and opportunity, but also rife with politics and competition. As an outsider, he faced skepticism and scorn from his peers, but he also caught the attention of those who recognized his potential. His abilities set him apart, but they also painted a target on his back. Whispers of jealousy and fear followed him wherever he went. Yet Ryo remained determined to uncover the truth about his past and harness the power that set him apart. One day, while exploring the academy grounds, Ryo encountered a young girl who seemed eerily familiar. Her presence stirred memories he couldn't place, as though she was a fragment of the life he'd left behind. Was she connected to Haruto's world, Or was she simply another mystery in this tangled web of fate? The girl's cryptic words hinted at a deeper connection, one that tied Rio's two identities together in ways he couldn't yet understand. She spoke of destiny and the trials ahead, leaving Rio with more questions than answers. As the days passed, Rio began to realize that his journey was only just beginning. The forces that had shaped his life were far from done with him, and the truth about his dual existence remained shrouded in mystery. What lay ahead for Rio, and how would he navigate the challenges of a world that seemed determined to test him at every turn? For now, all he could do was move forward, his resolve stronger than ever. But the question lingered: would his past be his greatest strength or his ultimate downfall?